And welcome everyone to the Shitlord Preachers podcast. This is episode 33. My name is Amos Joseph. I'm joined by my co-host Brook Potter, who is in London in the UK, across the pond. We are basically Shitlord Preachers, for those of you who joined us for the first time. We are two former preachers, now reformed shitlords, who've gotten together. Basically, we talk about anything from politics to social and cultural issues. And we used to have conversations like this over the phone. Now we decided, hey, why not make a podcast out of it? But welcome everyone for joining us. Brooke, how's it going today?
It's going well, Amos. How many episodes are we in now? 33?
33.
Oh, we're getting up there, man. 33 was a good year, actually. Yeah, thanks. Always good to have you, back on the stream. As you know, I just got in from Amsterdam, like literally 2 hours ago. And yeah, so if I seem a little off in this conversation, you know why. But yeah, for those who
just begun.
The party has just begun. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, my name is Brook Potter. I'm actually not in London anymore, Amos. I am more north. I'm in Essex. Now, most people wouldn't know what that is, but yeah, for those of us joining us for the first time, I originally came from Trinidad and Tobago. I moved out here 2 years ago. I was in London. Long story, but I've ended up moving just to the edge, or what would be considered the border of London, but I'm technically in Essex now, at least for now. And yeah, as Amos said, we used to have these conversations all the time, and we just thought it'd be a good idea to share this with some other people, get some feedback, get some criticism, and just talk some shit. And that's how we ended up here.
But a couple of things. For those of you who are watching us, we've got a couple of announcements. So you'll be seeing our podcast being shared not only on the Think Liberty Network, which I forgot to mention them quick here, but basically, yeah, the Think Liberty Network that we're a part of, they're also going to be sharing our podcast through the Being Libertarian Facebook and hopefully Twitter pages. And as a result, we felt we're going to launch today officially our Patreon. Exactly. Our Patreon is going to be specifically for Shitlord Preachers, although it's running through my channel. So if you guys do want to consider making a small monthly pledge of anywhere between $1, $5, $10, and $15 US dollars, not British pounds. You can check us out at patreon.com/shitlordpreachers, and it's spelled just as it is. Shitlord and preachers all in one word, and you'll find us there, and you can check on that. We're offering some rewards regarding joining our we've had it a little bit. I experimented with creating a Discord server for Shitlord preachers, but you'll be able to join that, different tier rewards, and we're going to be working on that as we go along. As we start getting more patrons, we'll be offering more rewards and be more involved with developing a community of patrons, as well as be more engaged with that. So definitely consider checking that out, guys. Patreon.com/shitlordpreachers. But let's get back into what we're talking about today, Brooke. Now, I know I let you know, and I'm surprised you weren't up to date on this, but then again, you were in Amsterdam. But let's get into Amsterdam first before we get into the topic, because I got to hear about this. How long were you in Amsterdam?
I was in Amsterdam from Friday afternoon till Monday, let's say Monday morning. So not long, 3 nights in Amsterdam. And for anybody who doesn't know, my birthday was November 23rd. And my girlfriend and myself just decided, hey, let's just go and have some fun. Now, I went to Amsterdam with certain objectives, right? I wanted to get as fucked up as I could, right? Just because that's what you do when you're in Amsterdam, right? You got to have some fun. So my objective, well, I had to have a brownie, I had to smoke some weed, and I had to do some mushrooms, right? And for those of you who are thinking like, oh, I'm this big drug addict or whatever the case might be, no, that's not it at all. It was all research oriented. It was trying to boost, it's trying to evolve my brain. It was really for health benefits. But
some Joe Rogan shit.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we went out there. I met a really good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he wants to be implicated in this. But we ended up like right smack dab in the middle of the city, the old city, walking distance to everything. I mean, I could literally live there because everything is a steak shop, a burger place. They like their meat out there. And for those of you who don't know, yeah, I'm on the carnivore diet still. So, the meat was amazing. But what was most interesting, of course, is to see the legalized marijuana shops.
Oh,
Now, the rule out there is that you cannot sell alcohol at the same place that you're selling the weed, right? And they don't take any cards, very similar to the US. You have to pay cash because the minute technically they're drug dealers, right? So the minute that shows up on your bank statement, the bank is going to freeze your account. So everything is cash. And as I said, I didn't have any plans for like major smoking and stuff like that, but they only sell them in packs of four pre-roll joints. You could get it with tobacco as well and stuff like that. So I pretty much checked off everything on my list. First night I tried some brownies. So we went out, me and my girlfriend. I didn't realize how much my girlfriend would be fascinated with the sex shows and the peep shows that are still in Amsterdam. I think there's the last remaining peep show that we went to. And that's basically it's a circular room where a girl is either stripping or a couple is having sex. And you open the door outside, you go in, you drop in your €2, and you get to view for like 2-3 minutes. You know, you could see through the glass and see what's going on inside. And I think my girlfriend basically spent all of our cash that first night watching peep shows. And, well, I mean, buying drinks as well. And it was bizarre. It was very, yeah. She's kind of coming around to the pervy thing. I have to keep my eye on that.
jeez.
So yeah, night one was the brownies.
Right.
I think I had a half. Didn't really affect me that much. I had a nice buzz. Night two, we went back out into the city, did a little touring. We visited Anne Frank's house, which, you know, she was the Jewish lady that wrote her diaries during the war. She was actually German, migrated to the Netherlands, and they spent 2 years locked up in like this secret annex of her father's business, staying away from the Nazis. So it was surreal. It was definitely a good experience. Highly recommend it. And then the second night was the mushrooms. I went into the place and was like, I've heard about these mushrooms. Now, technically, mushrooms are illegal in Amsterdam, so it's not really mushrooms they're giving you. They're giving you truffles, right? So Mother Nature provides. When one door closes, another one opens. So I went in there, we got the truffles and stuff like that, and I was like, you know, he asked me what I wanted. Did I want to be like out of control, like not controlling my body, or did I want full control, full cognitive, but it's like more in like hallucinations and stuff like that? And I'm a guy, I don't particularly like being out of control. So I said, yeah, give me the hallucinations. I want full on green men. I want, you know, starships. I want to see it all, right? I want to see in the spirit. I want to talk to my ancestors. Give me that. So he gives me this thing. And I didn't get any of that, man. I was so disappointed. Not even a small spaceship. You know, it was kind of, you know, kind of lackluster at the end of the day, right? But when I closed my eyes, I was seeing a lot of like geometric forms and something, but I wasn't sure if it was me wanting to see it or if that was going on. I went back the next day and kind of gave him a piece of my mind, like, hey man, you know, these truffles, they're really not that good, you know? But yeah, so I'll have to go back and try something more. And last night we bought some joints at the world famous Bulldog coffee shop. And then we found these amazing lounges. Basically, it's a smoking house. People go in there, they take their mushrooms, they take their joints and stuff, or they smoke from the hookahs, you know, the big smoking things. And people are just lounging around on couches and stuff like that, and just getting high. And I smoked 3 joints. Couldn't really smoke the 4th. I was just like, I'm not a smoker, so I don't like, you know, stuff in my lungs that much. And I didn't get any big buzz. You know, a couple of times it's like, okay, this is nice, and the music was good, but that was it. And I came back today sober, and I my girlfriend didn't do anything. She was a very good girl and stuff like that, but she did say, there was a part of her that kind of wished she had indulged a little bit. And on one final note on that, I actually came back with some tea, some ganja tea that I'm going to be sharing with some friends and possibly people in the office if they, without telling them. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Them?
No, I'm just going to be. You want to try some tea? And I'm just going to leave a couple of the satchels. I even my girlfriend. I told my girlfriend, take back the lollipops. You can put those on the plane. And I said, take it back to your office and just leave it on the counter of your desk in a bowl, and just let the office indulge and see what happens. And she works in like a publication, so that might be an epic, newspaper article coming out.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing here, Brooke? This is.
And I mean, the last thing on that is the girls. I just got to talk about the red light district because they might be closing. This is they might want to shut this down. But you go out to the red light district and they do have the girls, the sex workers, behind a glass door with a red light on and stuff like that. And tourists can go up and petition them, and they close the blinds. And now I bring that up because I know that's part of kind of what we're talking about a little bit today. But that was a very surreal experience, and there were some beautiful girls, I have to say. Some of them were really good. You also get some of the older girls that are working there as well. Some MILFs and grandmas kind of thing, which was also weird. But it is a great city. The food is great. The people are very friendly. Everybody spoke English. I highly recommend. Amos, we gotta do a Shitlord Preachers from Amsterdam. I think we should do that for next year.
Sure. Exactly. We'll just be, smoking and doing whatever we're doing.
It's worked for Joe Rogan. We can follow in his footsteps.
But yeah, it's good that you kind of transition into that. Because one of the things I wanted to touch on, and I haven't heard too many libertarians specifically do any deep, in-depth discussion on it. Now I did see, the guy we watch, Rollo Tomasi. He was touching on it a little bit. For those of you who don't know, Rollo Tomasi is a I guess
he's a psychologist.
He's a psychologist that talks about intergender dynamics and the red pill, for anyone who knows about that. Basically, we're going to be talking about this thing called the Thought Audit. Now, basically, what's been going on here is supposedly we don't know exactly what group or what specific label has been responsible for this, but you've had a group of men that have gone out there. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's incels, these involuntary celibate types, these men that basically can't
get laid.
Essentially can't get laid. They think it's involuntary, and there's a whole bunch of, that's a whole nother can of things to talk about. yeah, if you really want to talk about that's like a whole couple episodes to itself. But you have these men that basically as a movement to stop or to shut down these thoughts. So thoughts, for those of you who don't know, means that hoe over there. It's girls who are advertising themselves in different ways, and it doesn't necessarily have to be pornographic, but it does include that depending upon what they're doing. So thoughts are just women that are just very loose in how they sort of present themselves on the internet. Thoughting could just be like a girl who's just your Instagram models that are posting booty pics all day long. That's thoughting. But thoughting could also just be like could go towards the more pornographic. So you had all these men that were taking advantage of the fact that they're out there. There is I would say a saturated market of individuals who are women who basically present themselves on Snapchat. For those who don't know, is basically it's you can send pictures and video clips to whether it's people who follow you or other individuals individually. And it's quick clips that will, I think it's like they supposedly delete themselves after you watch it a certain amount of times, which is obviously not happening. Snapchat probably has an archive somewhere of a bunch of Snapchats, but you have individuals on Snapchat that basically advertise their and solicit their videos and pictures to people who subscribe to them. Some of them do like one-time thing, monthly things, weekly whatever they do. They have amounts of money that are given to them, and Snapchat does have a cash function, or they go through PayPal or some other means. Excuse me. So you have these men out there that see that obviously these internet thoughts probably don't report their income to the IRS, and some of them, depending upon attractiveness, skill, and cunning, uh, they do make a living. From my understanding, they can make a decent enough living that can either supplement the income they have or completely be their main source of income. And because it's essentially an internet equivalent to a cash transaction, you can't really track or monitor it in a way to where the IRS can get on you for it, but there's still money coming through your bank account, or maybe you just keep it in your PayPal account or wherever account, withdraw it separately. You have these untraceable transactions, or mostly untraceable. So a group of men basically were having conversations with these women. They have their DMs or messaging, whatever they're using, and they were screenshotting the conversations of the transaction being made. Not that they were sending the pictures or anything or the videos, and they're reporting these people to the IRS. So once you report to the IRS, there is this. I think it's a misconception, but I mean, the rules might have changed in this specific case. If you report to the IRS on someone not paying basically taxes on their income, depending upon how much money they receive as a result from the taxes they have to now collect, the individual who's reporting them could get a reward, which is a percentage of their taxes that they will get
collected.
Yep. So, you got these men that are thinking this is like a huge move to shut down these thoughts, because for what people might, for whatever people might believe or think, I believe, this saturated market definitely has some societal consequences. It definitely affects things in how we perceive women, the value of women, how it changes, relationships between men and women. It definitely has an effect, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, there could be some negative effect to it.
Oh, I mean, there's definitely a negative effect. But do you think? I mean, my 2 cents on this, because you kind of dropped this on me, while I was stoned.
Amsterdam.
I was Amsterdaming, and I honestly I didn't know a lot about it. So when I came back in today, it's like, okay, let's see what this is, and I'm really laughing at this thing, right? Oh, did you hear that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay, right. Somebody on a bike just passed really loud. So you kind of dropped this thing on me, and I'm looking at it, and I understand the premise. So it's a lot of young girls, even some older girls. Like I know a couple porn stars that use Snapchat in this very same way. So some of the older ones that they're not getting the jobs anymore, so they open up their Snapchat and they put out some titillating pictures, and if you want to see more, swipe up, and it goes off to their premium service. So yeah, I've understood it. I've seen a lot of that. But I don't know if this is it. This is what men want, right? The marketplace is kind of responding to what people want.
Oh yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I understand you're always going to have this industry.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my, on the more social side of it,
Yeah.
how saturated it is, how so many more women I think have the ability to do this, kind of changes things. Now, we're not even getting into the libertarian, how does this how do we talk about libertarianism with this? Taxation is still theft, everyone. And I think if you're going to go report someone for the IRS, that's just stupid. You basically you're weaponizing the state to, try to get people's money. And it's like, no. I yeah, like I get it. Like that's still theft,
I mean, I don't think you have. I don't think you could say that in the sense, because we discussed this before. Like, if the government does a stupid program and you could benefit, so we did this with the UBI, and you
Well, yeah,
said,
no. The incentive itself, I get that. Like the
right,
incentive is definitely it enables people to do this, basically do shitty things,
yeah,
Hey, I'm going to report you to the IRS. Now you have back taxes. It's like, that's kind of
yeah,
shitty.
that is shitty.
But I'm saying from a principle itself, you're kind of like, I mean, us as
I mean,
libertarians.
isn't it the same thing though? I mean, like when we had the discussion in last week's episode about the UBI, which is Universal Basic Income for the people joining us, and we kind of agreed that, yeah, if the government wants to be stupid with how they do their taxes and give money, I think, take advantage of it. And isn't that kind of the same thinking, that if it is that the government has this loophole and you can make some money off of it, because they should be paying taxes, right? It's not like they're tax exempt and you're trying to squeeze them.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky because at times, ooh, now you're making a good point here.
Yeah, I know. I just kind of thinking about it.
So with UBI, the theft already happened.
Okay. So basically, it's like inciting to violence, right? You view it as you're inciting to taxation or inciting to theft.
Yeah, You're like, if you're already starting it and making it happen, like you're basically using the gun, that the government's put out there, right, versus the government's giving out what's already been stolen. You're kind of like, well, I might as well utilize what's already been stolen versus create the opportunity to steal in the first place. I mean,
interesting distinction.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, right?
I mean, it's really splitting hairs. I could understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily see it as clearly, but because at the same time, as much as you have I believe you have a moral responsibility to pay as little tax as possible.
Yep.
I'm also not opposed to taking some of that money back from the state when they're going to spend it so badly, if you understand what I'm saying. You get a payout, right? So Miss Thought number 3 pays $5,000 in taxes, and you might get what, a third of that or a quarter of that or whatever. So you end up with, like, let's say a quarter. So that's 1,250 US, right? That's 1,250 US that the state is not going to use to fund wars and do all these other kinds of things.
Yeah. So you're stopping that.
So it cuts both ways. It cuts both ways. I tend to take that position, is that if I could get money back from the state, right, on money that they didn't have before, I think I'm entitled to that. But I do see your point in that you're instigating theft. Basically, you're pointing the IRS at people, and nobody wants to deal with the IRS.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, because as on top of, and I've heard about this too, that some libertarians like to criticize the libertarianism movement because we are all a bunch of we're all a bunch of degenerates that just engage in all the indulgences in the name of capitalism and free markets.
Right.
And that's what makes us sort of unappealing to some, because we love freedom, but then they see us as like being irresponsible about our freedom. We just want freedom for sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Right.
And I kind of see that, I mean, that some libertarians, I mean, again, I am friends with you, and you're in Amsterdam, and I probably would love to go to Amsterdam. So what am I saying? But there are certain aspects of where certain things like indulgence on a scale this large, in this specific industry, is where I'm like seeing, okay, like,
Yeah.
literally every, I mean, where you could have neighbors, where there could be individuals in small towns like where I am, a small town of about 3,000 people, where there could be maybe a handful of, internet thoughts.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not just the Snapchat, right? They're all the cam girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the cam girls, and they make money, right? So I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend actually. Do you know what Oh My Bod is?
No.
Okay, so this is an electronic dildo that responds to internet signals,
Oh.
right? So it's like a remote control, right?
Right,
And there's
right.
like there are like a few of them. So what these girls do is, they use the dildo and they put it on and they link it to these cam sites, and people tip. And when they tip, the dildo vibrates or it does something. I've never had a vagina, so I don't know what it's doing, but that's the incentive, right? That's the incentive. It gets these guys to like try to get them off, and they'll tip aggressively. Now I don't know if it's always cash or if it's some kind of token something, but that's the same thing, right? That's the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this just took a turn for a very awkward turn.
And this is how we're gonna get the listeners, everyone.
Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. We did drugs. We're doing sex. We just need somebody to close.
But basically, yeah. So it was interesting, kind of looking at it from the libertarian perspective of, taxation is definitely still theft. But
Technically extortion. We have one listener who wants us to say extortion.
Extortion? Oh, yeah. No, it definitely, yeah, that's the thing. When you talk to libertarians, the libertarians that really know about taxation is understanding that it is extortion. Like, if you the difference between a libertarian, like I guess a libertarian who's more principled and understands versus a maybe more of an NPC kind of libertarian. Now, I don't want to play some true Scotsman fallacy here, but but if you're just spouting off taxation as theft all day without a real understanding of why, and understanding like, okay, what are the consequences of not paying your taxes? You understand that it's more of taxation is extortion rather than theft. It is theft, yes, stealing is stealing, but it's more so extortion because, it's like the mafia. You don't pay your taxes, we don't protect you, you lose your rights, you go to jail. Hey, if you just don't want any trouble, just, pay your taxes, that kind of thing.
The protection money in the mafia. That's what
Basically. Yeah. I mean, you kind of had that even, when we haven't talked about this too much, but even like in the Bible, the tax collectors were some of the worst people in society.
They were hated.
Yeah, because not only would they gather taxes, but they would also gather on top of that as a means of theft. They would use their position to actually just take money from people to benefit themselves. Tax collectors were kind of part mafia, part government agents.
Well, I mean, that's basically the same thing, right? So,
but I mean, there were both public and private mafia.
So I mean, going back to the thought issue, I mean, so what is your position on the girls? Let's start there. Do you think that girls should be able to sell their bodies on Snapchat for whatever? You think so? Okay.
Yes.
You want to expound on that?
Well, I mean, sex work and prostitution, sex work, all that, I think should totally be legal. That's just I think that's just the most libertarian, most principled position. It's just it's supposed to be, allowed. Now, personally, the level at which it has, like I say, the saturated market can have consequences, I think. But
Right.
that would just be that, to combat that issue would be more so a social thing. People have to, with their more a conservative value, and I'm not saying like conservative as in the political conservative, but like conservative values being so on the decline, I guess, in among libertarians, that there isn't much of a social check on things, that some indulgences could just go wild.
Yeah.
Like indulgence has a place, if libertarians want to, like, so you went to Amsterdam. Now, if you could live in Amsterdam and party every single day, would you?
Oh, don't tempt me.
But I mean, you understand, like, obviously
Yeah,
the
I get it.
indulgence over a longer period.
It's not gonna
eh,
it's not gonna have the same value.
yeah, it's not going to have the same value, and it just might also, but it could have some negative aspects. You're
Sure.
growing numb to having fun,
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. I totally
and
get that.
you become essentially a degenerate.
You can.
You can
Yeah.
be, yeah. So, um, and yeah, so
So are you calling
there's
these thoughts degenerates?
no, they're just doing their job.
They're just doing their job. Okay. I mean, okay, so as a young man, have you encountered any of these thoughts?
Like in person?
Well, any encounter. Let's start there. So online in your Tinder or any of
Oh
these
yeah,
other things?
multiple times. Like
Multiple times.
yes, like literally, like I'd say 1 in 5, 1 in 6 encounters on a dating app is someone trying to advertise their premium Snapchat.
Really? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like they're there. And, I just whether it's through Tinder, through OkCupid, um, and I mean, every now and then you might get something through, like, get a spam account through like Facebook or something.
Right.
Uh, I know I've gotten once through Twitter.
You got a
Um,
thought through Twitter.
it was like I think I've told you, like, just random individuals that just start DMing you on Twitter,
Right.
like, hello handsome man, what are you doing? you know and you have fun with it because you know exactly what's going on, but you're just like having fun, like, hey, let me just like have a conversation, see what this person really wants, and maybe I'll screenshot and send this to Brooke. I've sent you that before.
Yeah, I've gotten a few of those.
Twitter, Facebook, Tinder, and
Are you on
OkCupid, all of them.
Bumble? Are you on Bumble?
Oh, Bumble. You mean feminist Tinder?
I thought
It's
Tinder was feminist. They
all
have the
feminist.
jerk policy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So 1 in 5 of these women you've encountered advertising their Snapchat. Now, it kind of pisses me off, right? It kind of pisses me off in the sense I've encountered them myself. And I'm following a few of them just because, sometimes it gets very cold at night. And, some of these girls are getting like ridiculous vacations. And, well, I know for a fact that there are a lot of rich Arab men in Dubai that look for these girls and basically fly them out to Dubai to do their whatever little photo shoot. And they ensure they all get fucked in the ass, right? That's like the Dubai thing.
More than that.
Yeah, yeah. Like apparently the fetish in Dubai is for Arab men to take a shit on the chest of Western women.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're looking at these thoughts online, just remember that some Arab man has probably shit on her chest.
Oh God.
We're never getting onto the stream now.
Thank you once again to the Think Liberty Network for having us on the show.
Yeah, but that is a fact. That is like I actually know photographers and other people who work with these Instagram models, and they've told me the stories of what goes on. Now I can't blame any of them. Some of them use it a little more creatively. Like one I watched, she uses it to promote her YouTube channel. Of course, everything is a low cut blouse and a short skirt, and it's basically her trying on clothes and jumping up and down. But hey, you know, if I could get a 10,000 followers by jumping up and down, I'd fucking do it, right?
Yeah, I've talked about this with some people, and this is, you know, so this is me on air saying this. There is such a like like I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for people making money by whatever means people are willing to pay for.
Yes.
But don't you dare be dishonest with the fact that sex appeal sells and that
Damn
some
right.
people out there actually have sex appeal to use. You have people out there that are in pretty much across the board politically, even libertarians, that are out there basically utilizing, they're more attractive kind of women and they're, maybe posting certain kinds of pictures, and they get followers, they get they get, replies on tweets, likes on tweets, and some of them might even, monetize that. They all, kind of played under the guise of, well, I'm just, I'm just like a cute so and so kind of girl that just
A
loves
girl
spreading
next
the
door.
cause. Yeah, I just love spreading the cause of liberty or conservatism, or I guess the rare occurrence of social justice warriors that actually are attractive.
It could happen.
It can happen. But you get these people out there, and then when you like kind of just take a, kind of like a little jab, like, saying like, well, why, like, you have followers, why you can, raise money to do what you want to do because of sex appeal. And they're like, no, 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 no. It's like, yes.
I mean, I think one of the ones you showed me recently was some girl. I don't know where it was, Twitter, Facebook, something like that. And I think a libertarian girl, and she basically put, "Give me money" or "Send me money" or something like that, like
something. Yeah, she put up her Venmo, and this is totally going to come back on me because people know I've talked about this. Basically, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to
I mean,
put
we're
your
not
Venmo
naming
out
anybody.
there?
We're not naming anyone. We're
No,
just talking about it.
you want to put your Venmo out there. You want to put your pay. Okay, now people know. You put your info out there to, hey, send me money because I want to go to these events.
Was it all that? Did it say "Send me money because I want to go to all these events"?
Well, so the initial tweet itself was, "Send me money. Here's my info."
Right.
And then
No explanation.
In replies of people asking why, the person explained, "Well, I want to go to this thing."
Right. Some event.
Right. So,
and she got it.
I don't know how much. She didn't say how much.
Right. We don't know how much, but I know at one point
so
you showed
then
me that she got it funded.
Yeah. She was sending screenshots of her like getting text notifications of people sending her money. So I thought like, okay, hey, good for you. Do what you got. Do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just did it as a joke. I screenshot my Venmo and tweeted it and said, well, if this person can get money, why can't I? And it devolved into accusations that I like I thought what she was doing was wrong. I thought what she was doing is, I don't like it. And I mean, I hate women and all this. And there were even women that popped in that knew this person that were like kind of on my side. Like, yeah, like you're literally just a cute face on Twitter, and you claim you don't use sex appeal, but then during Halloween you posted pictures. During whatever holiday you're posting pictures. Ooh, I'm a demon. And like, no, you're wearing a low cut blouse, and you wonder why, you have these orbiters, just guys just waiting on the next picture, waiting on the next, white knighting moment they can engage in.
I mean, those are a lot of red pill terms. So for anybody who doesn't know, a beta orbiter is basically a fanboy who likes a girl that she's never going to fuck, but she keeps them around because she likes the attention.
Yeah, orbiting basically. Imagine, women.
Never
women
colliding.
never colliding, never coming into contact.
No contact. Yeah, it's the groupie mentality.
It's the male groupie. So you see this. I mean, this phenomenon. I mean, really kind of started from what I've remember. You have this obviously on social media in general, but you've seen it a lot even like in Twitch. You have the
Right.
girl gamers on Twitch that are, wearing the very, very low cut, outfits, and they're playing some game that all the guys are playing. So they're playing like Call of Duty, wearing low cut blouse, and then when they win, they're doing this like jump up and down, and and then they have, of course, their PayPal in the header of the video, and it's like, yeah, hey, but like. And then they try to play it off. Oh, I'm a gamer girl. It's like, yeah, you're playing the game,
but you've also got a great pair of tits.
Yeah, I mean, you just I kept reiterating, do what you're doing. Just be honest about it.
Exactly. And I think that is the dishonesty is what I don't appreciate with this. I think we know a couple of ladies that have accumulated quite a following. And they try to pass that off like, oh yeah, I'm not using sex appeal, whatever. And we see it. We see that they're, hell yeah, you're using sex appeal, especially if you're selling merchandise and other things like that. Just be honest. Just be honest.
Oh, I just hate all these thoughty women on the internet, Now, if you'd like to buy this shirt, enter in this coupon code, and and they're like sprawled out like, put in this coupon code for 10% off these shirts coming this Black Friday. And it's like,
read the coupon tattooed on her inner thigh. Yes, it's just below her breast. Just type this in.
And for everyone listening, no, we're not incels. No, we're not MGTOWs. Oh my God.
Oh, yes, people are so silly. But I mean, so does it bother you that these young girls are making more money than you?
If anything, it's a motivation to do better. I mean, you basically you're having it's a competition between guys who can generate good content that is, mentally engaging and stimulating for people to want to listen to, whether it's a podcast, a video, whatever, production quality, versus women who have yeah,
TNA.
Exactly. I mean, you can I mean, we've had people that we've talked to, guests that we've had on here, and they're fully aware. Some of them are fully aware that just because they're a woman and they have opinions that are, considered maybe not quite so publicly, just views that people don't usually have, whether it's libertarian, whether it's more traditional values, some sort of conservative values that society is kind of downplaying nowadays. And they have, they're relatively good-looking women, or at least presentable. And I'm not saying any of our guests were ugly. Understand that. Don't give me that chuckle there, Brooke. I'm just, and so they get a following, and they gain a following a lot quicker than men do. I mean, I'll just say this because they're friends of ours. Shane and Nico over at Hoppa Supremacy. Shane is still under, I think he's like either just above 2,000 followers. And Nico is approaching 10,000 followers.
I wasn't gonna name anyone.
Well, I'm saying because they're friends, I can, kind of.
I mean, it's public knowledge, right? Anybody could go and look at this thing. I don't know if you remember that internet sensation called Epic Mealtime.
Yep.
Right. Epic Mealtime, for anybody who doesn't know, is these crazy chefs, and they build these ridiculously large or very hot, very spicy, crazy meals like the biggest pizza, and they stack like 20 pizzas with bacon and chicken and all kinds of shit in between. Anyway, there was this one episode. I can't remember how long ago this was because I haven't watched them in years. And so it's the whole mix up. Everybody's in the kitchen, and there's this one girl who is in the kitchen. She's not doing a damn thing. And somebody just put, what was that, me or you? Yeah, somebody just put her YouTube channel like in over her picture. So she showed up for like a couple seconds, and really cute girl and the YouTube channel. So of course I clicked on it, and she had like 5,000 subscribers from that, just appearing in that one video. And she had no video, nothing. She had no content. Right? It was just the fact that she was in that video and she was cute. Everybody jumped on it. The guy we watched, Dan Bilzerian,
Yep.
he does this all the time. This is why girls go after Dan Bilzerian. I mean, a number of reasons why they go after Dan Bilzerian. But his fame, he will get these cute girls that come on. I don't know if you've seen his Instagram or anything like that. These cute girls come on, and he just puts a link. Like, he'll do his daily story thing, and he'll just say, well, this is so-and-so, and they get famous off of people, or at least
they get a substantial following overnight.
A substantial following, correct. Yeah. Even if they have no content, nothing.
Exactly.
How crazy is that? Amos, grow some tits, man. Like, we need to do something to spice up the show.
God damn it. I'm not going to the store to buy any soy. Come on now.
Be strong, don't be soy. We'll put that on a shirt.
But yeah. So for the cause of liberty. No. No, it's and that's the thing, is like, I keep reiterating when I have this conversation with people. Be a capitalist, make the money you want to make, but at least be honest with it. You know, be honest with understanding that, you know, you're getting what you're getting because of who you are and what you look like.
Correct.
You know, and that's because that's like as far as I'm going. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not going to go out there and you know, run around saying, you know, I want my, you know, female, you know, tit privilege. I want my tit privilege compensation check. You know, you got to split me part of that because that, you know, because it's not fair. No. Yeah, keep making your money. It's just, but I'll still just kind of touch on it every now and then, like, you know, just remember why.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like telling people to check their privilege, right? It's a little bit like that, but at least this is real, unlike a lot of the privilege talk.
It's like, it's very easily seeing, you know, causality of it and correlation, and it's all there.
Yeah, it's as you say, like, men have not evolved beyond the point of, you know, being attracted to feminine, young, fertile, beautiful women, right? And no matter as much as the feminist harpies will try to shriek at us and tell us, you know, they're going to give us a new beauty standard, which is basically a land whale with the word beautiful written up, you know, under its second chin. You know, that's not going to fly. I mean, for some people it might, you know, some real soy boys out there, that might be great. So I have nothing against, I mean, you know, if I have girls as children, I'm definitely going to have a deep conversation with them. But yeah, I don't see anything necessarily wrong with women doing that. But here's what they need. This is probably what they don't want to know, is that it does stop, right? At some point, there is a new 18-year-old. Every year, a whole bunch of new 18-year-olds, you know, come of age. And they're younger than 19-year-olds.
It's, right? Yeah, it's, I mean, in this economy, this marketplace of, well, yeah, this is where you get into, this is where you kind of get into sexual marketplace.
Yes.
You know, I think I saw a movie clip. It was like some guy was talking to these like chicks who were like maybe 20.
I saw that.
Yeah, the chicks that were in bikinis, and he was, and they were breath. Like something like that. Well, basically, he was just pointing out the fact that, hey, you guys are, you know, you guys get this money from some rich guy. I forgot what exactly. I just remember the clip. Basically, it's a group of like chicks in bikinis, attractive young women in their mid going into late 20s. and they all live off of this really rich guy who gives them an allowance or whatever it is, some spending money to go get their shopping, get their jewelry and whatever. And he says eventually he's just pointing out to them, you're going to start spending this money on more and more on trying to preserve your looks, because you're going to start understanding that at some point this guy is going to start seeing other 20, 21-year-old girls, that don't need to spend as much money, that aren't as demanding, that can outcompete you. And you're going to start to realize you need to actually get a job. You need to, your looks are not going to earn you this, this money from this guy anymore. You have to actually go and compete now.
Correct.
And that's kind of where you start talking about these red pill terms, the wall.
The wall. What is the wall, Amos?
The point
and
where
why is it so unforgiving?
The point where your sexual market value starts to decline.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
This isn't Trump's wall.
No, not that wall. And it's not to say like women start to get ugly at 27. It's basically just showing is your certain youthful, fertile sort of whether it's looks, vitality, stuff like that, start to see a decline. Not like I say, it's not like you just get wrinkles at 30. It's more so like you have beautiful women at 30, between 30 and 40.
Sure.
But are they as youthful and attractive as their 22-year-old counterparts? Depends on who you talk to, but I mean, as for for men as a whole, in terms of mating strategies, obviously a 22-year-old is a lot more attractive than a 38-year-old, who can be very attractive, but doesn't draw in, you're not going to see a 38-year-old Thought.
Well, you might.
Let's okay, I should say that, yeah. You might.
Mrs. Robinson.
But they're not, but they're not attracting a large, as large of a group as the 22-year-old,
Correct. It's the reason somebody like Jennifer Lopez, who is what, 50?
I don't even know.
Like Kylie Minogue in the UK is 50, I think. And there's a reason we celebrate these rather aged women who still look great. And there are a lot of them.
Even like what's her name? People really like to talk about like Jennifer Aniston. Like right, she's she's still in pretty good shape. Yeah.
But the reason that's celebrated is because that's not the norm. Right. The reason these women stand out as they do is because, let's be real, that's not normal.
They're putting a lot of money and effort into maintaining that look and figure. And you look at, the following. I mean, are they garnering as large of a following as, for example, someone, well, I don't know who now, but I mean, if I just throw out if I even said Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence is obviously having a larger sex appeal than someone like Jennifer Aniston.
Right. There you go.
That's just simple to figure. You see that in terms of the marketplace of, these Snapchat and Twitch and so on, thoughts.
Yeah. Eventually it does end. And, as I say, every year, a new bunch of 18-year-old girls come online, and every year you are now in competition with every other 18-year-old girl.
Yep.
And that's the cycle. Now for men, it's not the same for men, right? And this is the delusion of third wave feminism, right? And you hear it all the time. So especially amongst the senior women, where they say, "Oh, I'm ambitious and I've got a career and I'm making good money. Why can't I find a good man?" Basically, those are the traits that women look for in men, right? They want men that are ambitious, making good money, and all these other things. So the reason men are not attracted to other men unless they're gay, right? So I mean, why are you trying to sell us these masculine traits. That's not what we're attracted to. So, as I say, for the men, on the other hand, we have a different sexual strategy, as you well know, and it's almost a little unfair. So where the women tend to, hit the wall, let's say 30 or whatever the case might be, men start to hit their peak, in like 35 to 40, earning power, we got our shit together.
I mean, the sexiest man alive, we remember at one point, was George Clooney.
Yeah, and he was in his 40s.
Yeah, it wasn't, it's not someone like, what's his name? Well, just think of any young, like, male actor.
What's the Deadpool actor?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, right. With his, like, perfect abs or whatever. Or Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. I mean, these guys are definitely, like, they're sharp-looking guys, handsome-looking guys, but there's a reason why someone like George Clooney was picked, why someone like
Mel Gibson was picked once.
Yeah, sexiest man alive. Old dudes,
Yeah, and this for anybody who might be listening out there, if you're a young guy and you've been rejected by whatever high school sweetheart that you thought you had, cheerleader chick or whatever, just wait.
Well, yeah, you always hear about the cheerleader chick that like got fat after high school, or they
swallowed the television.
Or even just like women that basically became more attractive as they approached their 20s.
Yeah.
You have the girl, you have the late bloomers, you have versus the early bloomers, because late bloomers are going to become more attractive maybe towards a later time. So a girl maybe becomes her most attractive at 25, whereas the girl who was attractive when she was 16 is going to start seeing that wall maybe at 27.
Yeah. And we've seen it. Anybody who wants to see this thing, you just Google women hitting the wall, and you will see these wonderful petite little teenage girls turn into monstrous land whales where they can't even like see their feet.
Yeah. And once again, just to clarify for everyone, we're not advocating anything with minor teenagers. We're just stating things like this is these things. Yeah, every time people talk about this, they start thinking like red pill men are advocating like marrying women that are under pedophilia and stuff. It's like no. This is just simple biology of how we approach our mating strategies. Yes, follow the law, everyone. Don't do but even if you've seen Top Gun, everyone knows about Top Gun.
Yeah, Kelly McGillis.
Yeah,
is the actress.
So you see her now versus Tom Cruise now. I mean, first off, he's still doing his Mission Impossible movies,
and he's 60.
What?
I think Tom Cruise is almost 60 years old. Hold on.
He's still doing. If you remember the scene from one of the recent Mission Impossible movies, one of the recent movies where he had to hold on to an airplane while it was taking off.
He did that. Yeah.
Now, yes, he is definitely beyond the norm still. Like actors and actresses are always beyond the norm.
It's all the alien juice he gets from Scientology.
But if you really look at it, you look at even if he's a little bit beyond the norm, most of the time guys are still becoming more attractive to women as they go into their, as they are approaching their 30s and going into their 40s.
Correct.
They're becoming, sexiest man alive. They're still maintaining a figure. It's there's just biological differences there. So, if
you look at Johnny Depp is 55.
Chicks are still swooning over him.
Yeah, Brad Pitt is 54 or somewhere around. I saw it over there. And these guys are still, how old is Leonardo DiCaprio? Let's just check. Leonardo DiCaprio age. Google is spying on. He's 44. And he's the only one that he's never married, if I'm not mistaken.
And you see the movies that he's in where he still plays a fairly young guy.
Correct.
You know, I mean, like Wolf of Wall Street, he was what, in his 20s? The character?
Yeah, the character was in his 20s and early 30s. Yeah, no, absolutely right. These guys look good. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. We better find out what they're doing, Amos. I'm going to need some of that stuff pretty soon, but
yeah. So yeah,
it takes a lot of work, and especially for women. As I say, yes, you know, fertility and other things like that. It does take a lot of effort to maintain a lot of this stuff. So we see it with celebrities because they've got more money to do this, but the average, you know, cam girl is not, which is the whole reason why when I was in Amsterdam, they were literally grandmas. Well, I mean, I say that badly, probably in their 50s. They weren't like, you know, white haired and with a cane or anything like that. But they were definitely like MILF type. You could see she's a little bit older. She doesn't have the shape and the figure. She was sitting in the room and waiting to be propositioned. Now, my girlfriend, who is like a reporter, she wanted me to pay for her to go and talk to the girls. And, you know, because she wants to interview them. I think secretly she wanted to les out, but, you know. No, I'm just kidding. But I said if I'm paying for you to talk to the girl, you gotta les out and I gotta record it. Anyway, that was kind of my get back at her sort of thing. But she was so fascinated by the lifestyle that it was just and literally you go outside, there's a little sign, room for rent. Anybody who wants to apply to stand in the room, they could do it. So I mean, so much more now with the cam girls and the Snapchat thing. Like, I don't know if you know who Jessie Jane is, the porn star.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't know much about porn. That's more like my generation, right? But Jessie Jane was this absolutely stunning blonde girl, very aggressive, kind of feisty. I quite like the attitude. But she's making her money now, not so much from. I mean, she still has a contract with, I think, Vivid, which is one of the better houses for porn. But she makes a lot of her money from Snapchat, and this same kind of thing. She'll you know, do topless pictures and, you know, send you messages or whatever for money, and seems to be working. She's traveling a lot, so I guess it's doing all right, you know.
Right.
I wonder if she went to Dubai.
Oh Jesus. We're not talking about Dubai, Brook.
That is actually my stop this year. I'm going to Dubai. So,
oh boy,
yeah, we'll see.
I don't want to hear about you engaging in any debauchery.
Not in Dubai.
Yeah. So beyond the Thought Audit, and we pretty much went down talking red pill and sexual market value and all this.
Well, you have to. You have to if you're discussing Thought Police.
Yeah. It's so yeah, again, capitalism is great. People can do what they want. Markets are going to behave the way they behave. But there can still be some consequences, I think, to, basically where the social consciousness can change, because of a saturated market of, not every other girl, but I mean, a substantially higher percentage of women can just engage in doing this. Now, I mean, what you're probably going to have happen now is just extreme competition. You're not going to have these. You might have some women that are maybe only making a couple grand a year versus maybe early on they were making a living,
Yeah.
Really, you have to. It's kind of like, if anything, it's kind of like the competition in the market of photographers. Everyone can get a camera and take a picture now.
Correct. And
take decent pictures. They just understand a little bit of basics, throw on some filters, and you got cool looking pictures.
Yeah.
So now you have photographers that are now competing in a very competitive environment, and the best photographers in the world have to, have either worked really hard to get there, or they've been there before and they sort of hold that position out of some sort of just by tenure almost.
Yeah, I agree that the opportunity that young women have to do this kind of thing is definitely a two-edged sword. In the sense, okay, you can make some money. It's relatively safe as compared to like going to a strip club or prostitution or something like that. I mean, you strip in your bedroom. It's relatively safe. But at the end of the day, do you want to marry a cam girl? I mean, that's ultimately the question.
Yeah, when cam girls are starting to dominate I shouldn't say dominate, but the numbers, the population of cam girls starts to go up, and obviously people still want to get in relationships, get married, and have kids, and there's more of them out there. What does that say about the value of women in general? I mean, you're still having your conservative and not so conservative women out there that are obviously going to get married, but when you're creating such a higher number of women that are engaged in this, that are now on the marketplace of just dating, marrying, and such.
Yeah, I would say there are a number of fallouts from this type of lifestyle, and a lot of it has to do with modern feminism as well, and none of it is very good for women. Women are the ones who are going to lose out on this at the end of the day. Now, back in my day, probably when I was Amos's age, which is quite a while ago, when I took a woman on a date and stuff like that, the idea was at the end of the evening, you give her a kiss. You try to kiss the girl, Sebastian from Little Mermaid, kiss the girl, man. You try to get that in at the end of the date. But now that things have gotten so crazy and there's so much sexual competition amongst women, it's no longer the goodnight kiss. It's like the goodnight blowjob. Right.
Yeah,
and
if you're not having sex by the end of the first, second, or maybe even the third,
yeah, by the third date, it's not worth it.
You're just, you're competing. I mean,
yeah, because as much as you want to be a good girl, Becky down the street, she's willing to give it up in 2 instead of 3, and then Sally down the road is going to give it up that night. So the guy, and this is the phrase I keep saying, monogamy is earned, right? And feminism created this dilemma. Men have always wanted to fuck everything that moves, but we've never had the opportunity to do it until recently, right?
Right.
When women got liberated and the pill and the sexual revolution and stuff like that, and we lost the shame of society, so society no longer shames, premarital sex or single motherhood. In fact, we subsidize that now and encourage this sort of bad behavior. Now women, they're trying to act like men again. They're trying to be as promiscuous as men, and men are just going to take it and be like, okay, right?
Yeah, and then you can even look at there's statistics that show how promiscuity can have harmful effects on marriages, on this
Correct.
nuclear family that even in the least conservative way, just mom, dad, kid.
Yeah.
You're not talking about like, dad, even just with dad being the breadwinner or whatever, just a very basic model of a nuclear family. You see the rate of divorce, or even just the decline of marital satisfaction,
and the decline of marriage,
right, or even just the pursuit of marriage in general. Women who have, I think it was I remember I saw this graph. It just showed the more sexual partners a woman has had in her lifetime, like it was just a direct linear just drop. Just having one partner, this chance of divorce, having another partner, that much more, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I think I've seen that graph, and the men have it too, but them numbers are higher.
Yeah, I mean, you figure like evolutionarily, monogamy is a relatively new thing, and you think, okay, if we're the product of the alpha males and the men who survived, who out competed genetically with the other men, what did we do best at maintaining that legacy of genetics? We fucked everything that moved
to make sure it got to the next generation.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that behavior has been ingrained into us in a way, and it reflects in how we behave in society, that when we spread our seed, it's seen as a good thing. It's seen as a sort of, between men. Oh, I mean, we don't say it that way, but it's like, if a guy is a player, he's a player.
Yeah.
Beyond the whole key in the lock analogy.
Right. You want to share the analogy so people know what that is?
Well, what is it?
Which one has more value?
Oh, a key that can open any lock, or a lock that will open for any key.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, I mean, that's just, that's a good analogy, but I mean, when you look at it just biologically, it is biologically better for a man to spread his seed versus a woman who will take any seed.
Right.
Yeah. And then you see that just, biochemically with, what is it? Pair bonding. Like, a woman who's had more sexual partners is going to not have a lower likelihood of settling down than a man who's had just as many.
Yeah. I mean, it does affect men as well, not as much. But yeah, if women have had multitudes of sexual partners, apparently if they do get married, it's very difficult for them to actually stay married, and they lack the ability to have like that the pair bonding, strong sensations and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think we really want to get too much into the biology of the whole thing. That's, we'll save that for biology class.
But I mean, just our understanding of evolution and how just human behavior, a lot of this, if people really like break down and just from experience, even, you can kind of see, oh, but then when you talk about this, you get a lot of, you get some backlash from feminists, and really you get a little backlash even from just a lot of women in general.
Yeah. I mean, it is the biology of it. So men produce multiple millions of sperm, a day, a week, whatever. But women have a finite number of fertile eggs. So our mating strategy is going to be very different. So women are supposed to be selective.
Well,
men not so much.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you throw that out the window, if you convince women to be more like men, that's actually going against, some of the biological nature that they have, and that's why it's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing. Like, I mean, people want to go and say, "Oh, we have what is it, 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak," or whatever. And it's like,
right.
That's just BS. But then BS in some ways, that just analogy. But then when you study like biology, and you're like, wait, men literally produce millions of sperm by the hour.
Yeah.
And then you look at women who produce 1 egg a month, and
for a certain number of years.
Yeah, they have, and then they have, ovulation, ovulatory cycles, where when they're in ovulation, they become more susceptible to wanting to mate, to have sex, and all this. And no. But then, you have these, and then of course, like you said, and older men are more attractive than younger men, whereas younger women are more attractive than older women. A lot of these egalitarian views in society, egalitarianism has its purpose, like, allowing, they've done good things to allow us to have rights to pursue whatever we want to do. Women have every right, on principle alone, I believe every woman should do whatever they want. They want to be a CEO in a company, they want to make a lot of money, they want to do the things men want to do. Great. But naturally speaking, that doesn't usually happen that way. And people should not be surprised and blame it on the patriarchy just because it doesn't happen that way.
Correct.
And that also applies to, relationships and marriage and dating. It's just,
I mean, this is the challenge. I'm sure you can attest to it. As you say, if you're on stuff like OkCupid and other things, and every 4th woman is advertising her premium Snapchat, and then probably every 3rd woman is a fucking communist. And then, I mean, your dating pool of eligible women, especially for young men today, if you're not looking for the crazies, is pretty grim. Would you not say?
Yeah, I mean, that's just dating apps in general. I mean, people want to go and say, like, well, dating apps are just shit, like, go out and meet people.
Right.
And that's all nice to say. And I get it. Like, yeah, I definitely should go out and meet people. But that's becoming more and more of the norm.
Yeah, you're gonna find more
Like
and more
as
women.
as backwards as dating apps are, and just being full of, this grim situation of the world of dating and finding a wife, or just finding a good long-term partner. It's we're going to, it's still a problem.
It's challenging. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not good for women because the quality men don't, they're quality men that just maybe don't want to try anymore. And it hurts the men because being a quality woman, it has a different value to it.
Well, yes and no, in the sense what the online dating world has revealed is the truth. Unfortunately, the truth about uh, men and women. So, okay, as I think I've shared this with you before. Okay, Cupid does like a data analysis of their profiles every year. I think the last one was 2014 or 15, and they break it down by age, race, and gender. So they rate, okay, so black women, white women, women, Latino men, and so on and so on and so on. And they kind of pair them up to see who's liking who and stuff like that. And it turns out that 80% of women are going after the same 20% of men, right? Which is, these are like the peak men, probably really good looking, all 6 feet plus. Maybe they're making money or not, I don't know. But 80% of women are trying to hook up with the best of the best. While men, the distribution was pretty even. Like they liked girls of all social status and stuff like that. So if you were to draw it as a bell curve, the men's distribution was more even, but the women's distribution was exceedingly skewed to like the top 20% of men. Right. And that again, it's biological, right? So, well, it shows two things. One, we haven't evolved past our breeding and stuff like that. So, what are women looking for? They're looking for good genetics, financial provision, and the strength. They want somebody who could protect them, and all these things. So they're all looking for that same 20% of men, and men still have that kind of, if she's cute, if she's good looking, the other stuff really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this with some people, and so we've talked about the 80-20. So this is kind of reflecting upon the 80-20 rule. Basically, 20% of men tend to be sort of the alpha masculine men that women are basically most attracted to, sort of these peak types of men. And the 80 is basically your other kinds of guys. They could be good guys too. It's everyone else, basically. You have these men that, it's anything from like the really fat, sort of in the basement, mom's basement kind of guys, to guys who are maybe still working a job, maybe have a decent income, but they just maybe aren't very engaged or they're not in the greatest shape. Just the 80-20 thing. So,
it could just be as simple as short people. So they might be very successful, very good looking, but they're short.
Yeah,
right, which is my dad.
And they're not coming across as very attractive unless they have to show and just overcompensate with sort of confidence,
lots of muscles or game,
or
something
like that. Just very over the top in the other aspects of being attractive.
Sure.
Excuse me. So, and what online dating, what unfortunately feminism has done, is it started to change that. It's manipulating the rule, I think.
Yeah.
The 80-20 rule is now where the 20% is shrinking and the 80% is growing. Now you have whether it's maybe the 85-15 or the 90-10 or even the 95-5. So what you have happening is you're having a rise in what I consider to be more concerning is the incels.
Yeah.
There are more and more of them because it's sort of like a hyper competitive market between the men who were not only just dating but also getting to sleep with women, but and with the men that aren't.
Yeah.
So you have a bunch of these men. You have a higher and higher amount of men who are giving in to basically being frustrated, being angry with the fact that they feel society is not giving them a chance to get with a girl.
Right.
Um, and you have, it's sort of the abyss that they fall into of just, you know, only the hot guy, only the good looking guys with the money and the looks and the height and all this stuff. Only they're getting all the chicks. You can reach a point. I think kind of like a critical point, a critical mass, where they're going to just be so many men so frustrated with this issue that some sort of backlash might happen. People have heard, some people have heard about like the incels, that, they get so caught up in, being mad at the world, being mad at the fact that women won't date them or be with them,
Yeah.
that they kill some women. Or
Really?
you've heard about this, bro. I mean,
No, I haven't.
I mean, you hear about the, kind of the Elliot Rodger thing.
Okay, right. The shooter.
Yeah.
Right.
You have these guys who, you hear about school shooters have kind of like had some feelings towards, whether it's like the one girl that, humiliated him at, because he asked her out to prom or something. And, because he's not the jock at high school. You hear about a lot of this, and you're not hearing about it a lot now, but I wonder if, because I've seen some of these like forums for incels,
Right.
guys that are basically, I mean, it's just self-loathing. Women won't date, and they use very degrading terms to talk about women, and they'll even talk about like this one chick from however long ago that rejected them or whatever, and they want to, do harm.
Yeah.
And I think that tension and that frustration is just going to build. And as that disparity between the more alpha, the alpha fuckable men, the men that are actually going to be getting the chicks versus the men who aren't, is going to grow so much bigger as a result of just our natures becoming more and more revealed. Could be dangerous.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I can't say that I've given that much thought, but wouldn't you say that? I mean, this is a historical fact, right? I think for the better part of human civilization, the top men have always had polygamy, right? They've had multiple wives, they've had harems. In some parts of the world that still applies. And the majority of men actually never breeded. The majority of men throughout history never reproduced, right? Whether they were killed or whatever the case might be. But historically, all the women went to the king, the sultan, whoever the rich guy was and stuff like that. And he would have his collection of women. And for the most part, nobody else, was getting, Cuba not getting very much, right? And I think in a sense, yes, we are kind of going back to that. The sex doll thing is interesting because that offers a release of some kind. So, I mean, some people are into that. Like I know, what was this? The MGTOW guy, Turd Flinging Monkey. Yeah, TFM. Yeah. So he's a big advocate of that. I think that's what we're going to. I think we're going to, a large majority of men are actually going to have these dolls, and the rich and well-to-do are going back to the harems, and they're building their collection. I think that's kind of what's happening here. So it's kind of like a return to almost a form of feudalism, I guess.
Oh boy,
in a way, yeah, something like that. I mean, and you've seen it. You've seen. Okay, well, Dan Bilzerian is the one that comes to mind most often. I mean, you hear the shit he talks about, like banging 5 girls in the night, and you see pictures from his parties and stuff like that, and he's not looking to marry anytime soon. I mean, maybe sometime, but yeah. So he's got like however many girls in his bed, and some guy can't get one. It's gonna cause issues, man.
Yeah, and when I talk about like incel men that want to commit violence, some people believe it, some people don't. Some people have heard of it, some people haven't, because we're not at that point yet. But we could.
I mean, how many incels are there really? Like, we don't really actually know.
We don't know for sure. I mean, but I've seen like there are incel forums, so like
Is it more than the Happer forum?
well, the Happer forum has incels, I think.
Oh. Yeah, we don't want to sell anybody out, but
no. Yeah, I mean, I've seen in there, you have men that are more loathing in the fact that, well, because I'm half white, half Asian, therefore not attractive to women for some reason. Somehow.
That's bullshit. I know a lot of white women who love Asian men. They're not interested in anything. I know white women that only like black men. So I mean, that's just how it is. You know. So to just kind of cop out for that it's really weak.
Yeah, and so you have this sort of self-loathing atmosphere of just I'm a product of racism because my dad's white, so he's obviously using his white supremacist idea to fetishize my mom who's Asian, and
Jesus, that's crazy.
And so they think their existence is a product of the worst kind of racism, which apparently is marrying the person you're racist against and having a kid with them.
Was it marrying the person you're racist against?
Yeah, and having a kid with them. That's like the worst kind of racism, because you're fetishizing. Oh, it's so twisted and messed up.
Yeah, but that's only the men. If it's a white man and an Asian woman, it's fetish. But if it's an Asian man with a white woman, that's okay.
That's progressive.
That's progressive. And that's what I'm saying. There are literally, again, it's all this twisted progressive nonsense, right? There are women that like Asian men. We met a few of them, actually. I think we met a girl in Thailand, and she was a Caucasian woman, and she was getting married, and she said she couldn't wait to have little Chinese babies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And yeah, I mean, but then you want to talk about racism and fetishizing all this, but then when I was in Taiwan and we had our friends who were from the States, or men from the West,
yeah,
and all these Taiwanese women would be all over them, like, what? Oh, like, bro, they're attracted to that.
I've got a friend who's teaching. I think he's teaching English in China, and he's a white guy. He slept with like 60 women in the first 3 or 4 weeks he was in China. Like, the fetish goes both ways, bro. It's Asian women, and I can tell you from Thailand. Like, when I was in Thailand, the key for Thailand, anybody who goes to Thailand, you got to go into the club wearing a shirt, like a button shirt that's not made in Thailand, because they'll know. And you don't speak any Thai. Don't be fresh. If you are an English-speaking person wearing a shirt, you're going to get all the women. But that's how it was. I could not walk down the street without some either woman or she-male or something jumping out at me and giving me a big hug and be like, "Oh, you want me to come with you?" And it was, so the fetish works both. I don't think it's, to demonize the white man taking advantage of the woman. No, sometimes the woman takes advantage of the man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is we don't quite acknowledge the fact that, I mean, when you're from the first world, there is an attraction that is attached to that, and it's not necessarily some sort of a racial thing, and it's just, yeah.
I would agree.
But we're coming up on our time a bit here. We definitely did. I didn't expect us to go in this direction.
But that's the joy of the Shitlord Preachers podcast. We never know. Like, I didn't think we'd fill an hour and a half, bro. Like, seriously. Talking about thoughts? Come on, man.
Thoughts then turned red pill. But
to hoppers,
to
and
hoppers,
self-loathing, and incels.
Oh, geez. Yeah, at some point, yeah, our friends over at Hopper Supremacy, they've definitely done videos about them because they're actually kind of on the radar now.
Okay.
They wanted to do this sort of mass flagging against them, older videos, and they haven't done anything yet, but they talked about it in the forum, in the subreddit, basically openly discussing it. And it was just kind of like, come on, guys, really?
That
Like,
sucks.
you have nothing better to do? Because they see sort of, they'll loathe at the idea that that Hopper supremacy, they're joking about sort of this they're parroting the idea of the ethno state. We're gonna do have an Hopper ethno state, half Asian, half white kids that are becoming this like new ethno,
the new superior race.
Exactly. And it's a total joke that we play with, like, and they're like, and then they hate that because white supremacy, and that's just horrible.
Right.
Okay, good. So at least they're like, they understand like that. And then but then they'll turn around, and if a Hapa is not behaving right, it's like they take it upon themselves. We got to do something about this Hapa. It's like, wait, we're an ethno state now? Like, you got to take it,
right.
take charge of us. Like, we're your responsibility. Like, people can do what they want. It's like, if you're not a self-loathing, self-hating Hapa, you're not a real Hapa or whatever. You're not acknowledging the fact that you're, I joke about, I wake up every morning and I wonder, I have a hard time because my white half is making my Asian half build a railroad. Like, what do I do? Do I order the railroad to be built, or do I build the railroad?
I mean, for our listeners, they may not get it, but Asian, Amos is half Asian, so
yeah, I'm half Chinese, and we know that the Chinese helped build the transcontinental railroad, in early U.S. So it's like,
So are we going to do a special episode about Hopperism?
Hopperism?
Yeah, like all what's going on in the Hopper world, and
I've done that so many of those streams though.
All right, we'll leave that with Hopper supremacy then.
yeah. So, but anything you wanted to add, Brooke, real quick before we get out of here?
No, I think we kind of covered it all. I like the conversation. Thank you everyone for tuning in and taking the time to listen to the Shitlord Preachers podcast. Both Amos and I have spent a lot of money to try and bring you guys quality content, not necessarily in what we say, but how we sound.
Well, yeah, we're now that we're in the podcasting platforms, we definitely want to, basically produce the best possible content so people can, so they're not hearing, background noise. I mean, stuff just still happens. We're not in any studio environment. You guys probably hear every now and then, I mean, Brooke is in an office, but he has a really good mic, and it's going to pick up on some things. If my neighbors upstairs are like doing whatever they're doing, sometimes might cause some noise. You might pick up on that. I mean, this mic's pretty good, but we are putting forth a bit of money to give you guys the best possible content, and we do appreciate if anyone is ever to want to consider donating to us, pledging on a monthly basis. They can do so at patreon.com/shitlordpreachers, and we do have rewards there. Like I say, we're just launching it today. We're letting people know, since we're going to see definitely going to have a lot of new listeners pretty soon here. But yeah, if you do want to check it out, we do have rewards there, and we'll go from there to see if, what we can do more to produce either more or better quality, as well as give better rewards to the patrons as well. But yeah, thanks for joining us today. This was our 33rd episode, which is awesome. We're going to start going on a more weekly basis, which is even better. So people are probably noticing that, but follow both of us on Twitter. For me, it's at Amos Joe. That's spelled AmosJoe. And then for Brooke, it's at Brook_Potter on Twitter. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to the Think Liberty Network on whatever podcasting platform you're using. We are available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as well as pretty much if there's a podcasting platform that we're not on, definitely let us know. We'll try to get on that. Think that is all. And of course, check out Think Liberty at think-liberty.com. Check them out on Facebook and Twitter. Also, check out Being Libertarian, beinglibertarian.com. Also, Being Libertarian on Twitter as well as Facebook. I think we're the largest libertarian Facebook page besides the party itself. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of new listeners, Brook. But thanks once again for joining us, guys. We will see you guys next Monday at 11 o'clock Central Time.
Thanks for watching, guys.